Good morning, folks. It's nice to see you. We had a church full of folks here yesterday for Henry Grappi's funeral, and it was a wonderful event as far as funerals go, and these flowers are thanks to the family who left them here, and the flowers up at Ale's shower are also thanks to the family who left them here. We have a couple announcements this morning. First, I'd like to welcome Zena Taylor, who is the worship associate this morning. Zena serves this congregation not only as a worship associate, but also working with the children in RE and working on the investment committee. So that's a broad spectrum of help that she provides to the congregation. We're happy to have Zena here with us this morning. Also this morning, we normally have something called Lunch Bunch, where we choose a restaurant around the area, and then we all go there and have lunch. Lunch Bunch is canceled this morning because we have our shower for our congregational administrator, Ale Gonzalez, who is due to have a child soon, a baby Magnolia. And we are celebrating her shower today. So we hope you can join for the shower. And I'm getting, it's at 1. It's at, so between the service and the shower, feel free to join us in the gathering place. I was told yesterday, it's not the gathering space, it's the gathering place by the people who so named it. I didn't know that. Sorry if I've been messing that up all year. But in the gathering place, we will have coffee and hopefully continued conversation around the topic of the sermon or whatever you want to talk about. You can talk about what I said. You can talk about what you want to talk about, whatever you want to talk about. Just come after services. The only other announcement we have this morning is on June 15th, so in 2 Saturdays, which is the Saturday before Father's Day. On the Saturday before Father's Day, we will be having a Sunday service planning workshop, where what we will do is we will hear from you all of the topics that you would like us to talk about on Sunday service, and whatever all changes you think might need to happen to Sunday services, or whatever ideas you have to improve Sunday services. It's a free for all, I guess. It's a free way for you to come in and say, how about this topic, how about that topic? And then hopefully what we'll do at that workshop is we will just lay out good chunks of the year starting in September for both topics and for content and delivery. So if you're interested in joining, it'll be on the calendar and it'll be in the newsletter. I think it's it's the morning of the 15th. So we look forward to seeing you there, and when you get here, I think it'll be up in 208, but I'm not sure exactly where it will be. That's all we have for announcements. One more thing is, if you are new to Emerson or still a little bit new around here, we offer the opportunity for you to come learn about Emerson on the 4th Sunday of each month. This is not the 4th Sunday of each month, but in the 4th Sunday of each month, you can come upstairs to the library and we will have an open conversation about Emerson, the way it works, and how you can fit in here. So that is the 4th Sunday. Between now and then, if you're interested in knowing more about us, you can get your name, your email put on our mailing list, and we will send out 2, not 40, 2 emails a week to let you know what is going on here at Emerson. So with all of that said, I welcome you. I welcome you to relax and settle in to this Sunday morning, and I welcome Artem to bring us in to the formal part of our service.
As we gather in community, we look within ourselves and to each other for strength, restoration, and inspiration, so that as we journey together, we catch the spark of the eternal Spirit, and from that spark, we light our chalice flame. Lighting the chalice flame symbolizes to all that the spirit of our congregation is strong, and that our will to transform ourselves and the world is also strong. We light the flame with gratitude. We light the flame in memory of all who have gone before, in honor of all who are here now, and with joy for all who are yet to come. As Ruth lights our chalice flame here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you joining us from home to light a candle or a chalice of your own. Reverend Montgomery is the Minister Emerita of All People's Church in Fort Worth. She retired in 2001 after a 26-year career serving churches mostly in Texas, but also in Tennessee, Florida, New Mexico, Arizona, and Massachusetts. Please join me in reading these words together as they appear on the screen. Life is a gift which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and mysteries of this great gift. As we work to create beloved community, we welcome all who would join with us in building a better world with more love, more justice, and more peace. We welcome all who would join us in growing in mind, heart, and spirit. We welcome all who would join us in tearing down systems of oppression of all kinds. We welcome all who would join their purposes to ours in a loving spirit of right relationship. Please join me in our welcoming. The words are on the screen. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on your life's journey, whichever your pronouns, whether you've walked in or rolled in or dialed in, whomever you love, you are welcome here. Our opening words are from American essayist and one-time Unitarian minister and namesake of this very congregation, Waldo Emerson, who lived from 1802 until 1882. He was seen as a champion of individualism and prescient critic of the countervailing pressures of society. Here are his words, which come from the first published series of his essays. A friend is a person with whom I may be sincere. Before him I may think aloud. I am arrived at last in the presence of a man so real and equal that I may drop even those undermost garments of dissimulation, courtesy, and second thought, which men never put off, and may deal with him with the simplicity and wholeness with which one chemical atom meets another. And now, with our chalices lit and our hearts and minds centered, we often celebrate just a little bit more by singing a hymn. You may stand if you're comfortable doing so, or you may stay seated, but please help us raise our voices and sing. Our opening hymn is I've Got Peace Like a River, number 100 in the Gray Hymnal.
I've got
this morning we will take some flame from our chalice and we will light our candle of joy and remembrance, because we learned this week that last week during these very services our friend and longtime member Max Nelson passed away at the age of 98. So we were happy to have Max with us for as long as we did, and we now remember him with a moment of silence and a lighting of this candle. Go with God, Mr. Max. The family is planning a service here. We're trying to finalize dates, but go with God. And this is the point in our service where we, they call it Time for All Ages, or Children's Chapel, or Children's Sermon, story time, whatever you want to call it. This is the time where we retell the nature of the service in a different way. And to do that today, I have from this little book, Everyone a Butterfly, 40 Sermons for Children, which was published by the UUA Press in 2004, and it's by Randy Hammer. The name of the story is The Rainy Day. It was pouring down rain when Jake awoke on Monday morning. He dragged himself out of bed and pulled back the curtain of his window to look out at the street. "Drat," he said, "I hate rainy days." When Jake went to the breakfast table, his dad knew that he was unhappy. "What's wrong, Jake? Get up on the wrong side of bed this morning?" His dad teased. "It's raining. That's what's wrong," Jake said. "I'll get all wet going to school. We won't be able to go outside for recess, and our baseball game this afternoon will be canceled." Jake played with his breakfast because he was too unhappy to eat. When the school bus came, Jake ran through the rain and caught it, but he did not like it. He was unhappy all day long, and everyone around him knew it. That same morning, across the neighborhood, Riley awoke to hear the rain pounding on her roof. She said, "Oh boy, it's a rainy day. I love rainy days." Riley exclaimed. She hopped out of bed and she ran to the window to look outside. She watched the big raindrops splashing down in the street. "I can wear my new rain slicker and boots, and I can splash puddles on the way to school." Riley was ecstatic. "If it's still raining when I get home this afternoon, I can curl up in my window seat and read a book while I listen to the rain." At the breakfast table, Riley was jubilant. My, someone's happy today," Riley's mother said. "You must have had very pleasant dreams." "It's raining. That's why I'm happy," Riley smiled. "I love rainy days." Riley couldn't wait to put on her rain slicker and boots. All the way to school, she splashed rain puddles in the street, and that afternoon, on her way home from school, she splashed them again. After getting an after-school snack, she ran up to her room and curled up on her window seat with a storybook and a blanket and listened to the big, beautiful raindrops go pitter-pat on her window pane. And that is the end of our story this morning. Was that a fun story? That was a fun story. And now I invite Zena to bring us into our offertory.
Emerson collects an offering each week, like many communities of faith, but our offering is not for our church, which is supported by the annual pledges of our members. We collect our Sunday offering to give to others because we know that giving is both a transformative spiritual act and an important way to live our values. 75% of today's offering will go to our June's Share the Plate recipient, Answer Nepal. Answer Nepal is a nonprofit founded by a Unitarian Universalist, Earl Canfield. Each year, it enables Americans to radically change the lives of 500 to 700 talented and dedicated Nepali students from very poor families by helping to fund their education. Since the late 1990s, Answer Nepal students have graduated to become doctors, nurses, lawyers, teachers, and other things too. Many Emersonians have and continue to sponsor Answer students. The remaining 25% of today's offering will go to Interfaith Ministries Meals on Wheels, which provides thousands of meals every day to Houston's homebound seniors. You can go to our webpage for online giving, put cash or a check in our offering baskets, or mail a check to the church. And we have offering plates up here and a box in the back. During the offering music, children who want to attend the RE class may follow Francine to their classrooms.
I also would like to point out, and I'll modify the script for this, that the, I don't know his title, what Earl Canfield's title, he's the guy in charge of Answer Nepal, whatever that is. He will be here at the end of June to preach to you and to tell you about his good work in Nepal. So I hope you can join him for that. I think it's the last Sunday in June. Is it? Yes, the last Sunday in June? Okay, great. We've come to the part in our service where we take a pause, take a breath, take a beat, allow ourselves to just be, and allow ourselves a moment of peace. Some of you like to just sit in peace, and some of you like guided meditations. So what I would like to do today is offer you a guided meditation that you can do on your own. Today we are talking about trust, the nature of trust, the way trust works, or the way it doesn't. And I would invite you today during our meditation to consider and think about all the things that you have already trusted today. All the things, all the people you passed, all the people you drove past who didn't swerve into your lane, all the people, every time you turn on the water comes out. When you turn on the light goes on. I'd like you to just consider the gratitude that comes along with trust. Consider how many things you have, and how many people, and how many things, and how many events you have already trusted just this morning. So I invite you now into a moment of silence, a moment of peace, a moment of rest, and a moment of reflection if you choose to. And we will just be together.
Our second reading this morning comes from another American writer and speaker, Stephen Covey, who wrote 14 books, most notably The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which was published in 1989. He died about 12 years ago. He was a devout Mormon. Here are his thoughts on trust. Trust is the glue of life. It's the most essential ingredient in effective communication. It's the foundational principle that holds all relationships.
How many of you go to Costco? Yeah. How many of you, when you walk in, sir, ma'am, can I ask you a question? What cell phone service do you use? First of all, if you're going to go through the bother of feigning politeness to ask me permission to ask me a question, at least pause for a beat and allow me to answer you. Sir, can I ask you a question? No. Nope. But thanks for being polite. What I say to them, I don't know you. What I'm saying to them when I say, I'm not buying anything from you because I don't know you. It's important for me to, as often as possible, know who I'm buying something from. Because there is a tiny little relationship there when the transaction happens, and you have to have some faith that the person you're talking to is going to do the right thing. And I have a lot more faith in people I know than people I don't know. Now, same thing happened. I had a very nice breakfast the other day, walked out of the breakfast place. Some very nice-looking young man stood there and said, "Sir, do you know that 10,000 children in Houston go to school without backpacks?" And what I felt like saying is, how would I know that? Like, how would I even know that? Like, okay, no, I don't. Well, you can donate a backpack here. And I said the same thing to him that I say to the people in Costco. I don't know you. I don't know who you are. How do I know you're just not here taking money and leaving? I feel for the kids that don't have backpacks. I suppose. When you say it, it's reasonable to assume that there are children going to school without backpacks. But I don't know that you're the person who's going to solve that for me. And it's not something that I am actively worried about. It's not saying, I didn't come to lunch because I was worried about backpacks. I'm just not thinking about that right now. All of you, I trust you. My family, my friends, I trust you. I could walk into any UU church in America and implicitly trust those people in that church. Now, that's probably not a good idea all the time, but that's what I do. The world functions on lots of things that are really hard to put our fingers on. Charity, gratitude, love. These are all great things, and trust is in them together, because all those things, like charity, like gratitude, like love, trust is this big enigmatic thing that we can't really put our finger on. Stephen Covey said it was so important that it is the glue of life. That's an important thing. Trust is an important thing. I say it's the foundation of every relationship. I would say that you don't really have a relationship with someone if you don't trust them. You're just physically next to someone. That's not a relationship. All these wonderful things in life are this enigmatic sort of weird thing. And you know they're enigmatic and weird because they're all these things that when we say or hear the word trust, we all think we're saying the same thing, but when we talk to each other, we're kind of not saying the same thing. right? That's why the Greeks had, I think it's 8 different words for what we translate to love. They got very specific about we just have this big old word, love. It's great, and we just have this big old word, trust, and there's so much stuff in it. And when we talk about it together, we are rarely talking about the same thing. It's so important in this country, we put it right on the back of our money, right? In God we trust. What we should have put on the back of our money is in money we trust. Which would be more accurate, I believe, in 2024, but that's a separate topic for a separate day. So where does this weird stuff, this enigmatic stuff, where does this stuff come from? How do we get it, this trust? Why do we get it? First of all, what is it? Well, anytime we want to define something, we go to the dictionary. And in this particular case, the dictionary is no help. Because what the dictionary says is it says trust is to place confidence in something. Which sounds nice, doesn't it? But the word confidence, the feed part of confidence, confide, fide is the Latin word for trust. So we have a circular definition. Trust means putting trust in something, which is not particularly helpful in terms of definition, but I think it's proof that we can't define this word. We can't really put our finger on what this word means. So what's confidence? How do they define confidence? A faith or belief that someone will act in the right and proper or effective way. Okay, now we're getting somewhere, right? But it's still back to this faith or belief kind of sounds like trust, and we're back to the circular definition again. So we've got this word, we all use it all the time, and we think we know what we're saying, but we often don't know what we're saying to each other. The fact that we can't define it, I think, is evidence that it is an important word. It is an important word. It's what I call a terminal definition. It's a word that we simply can't define. There aren't enough words to define it. And there are several words like that, especially in English, which is a oftentimes vague language. Words, like I said earlier, like love, is a vague word. We all say the word love. We don't know exactly what we mean when we say it, but we know what we mean, right? I think trust maybe is too big of a word. I think what we need is a simpler definition. So I've conveniently, for the purpose of this sermon, come up with a simpler definition for you to consider. And the definition I've come up with is allowing someone into your circle. So how do you allow people into your circle? This may be a question you've never considered. What do you mean? How do I allow people into my circle? I just allow people into my circle. Yeah, but we all do that differently, believe it or not. And I think there are 2 primary methods that we use when we're talking about this allowing people into your circle, allowing people to be trusted. And I call them opt-in or opt-out. And I'm going to ask you right now, what is your default? Is your default opt-in or opt-out? My default is opt-out, and I will explain it to you. Opt-in means you don't trust someone until that trust is somehow earned. You opt in to trusting people. Your default is to not trust people, not to distrust them. I'm not saying that. But your default is to not trust people until you do. These people, generally speaking, are a little bit distant. They have a smaller circle of friends, but once you're inside that circle of friends, it is very difficult to get out. in a good way. I don't mean that the way that came out. It is very you don't easily get removed from that circle of friends. I am opt out. And what I do and what many people do is I default to trusting people until I don't. I opt out of trusting you. So my default is that I trust you until that trust is broken. It makes me a bad judge of character because I like everybody until I don't. If you're trying to figure out which one you are, you have a default, but we're all both. We all do both. We walk into the store and we need to buy a cell phone, and the guy walks up to us to sell us a cell phone. I'm like, fine, okay, you're the one, I guess. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I don't understand what you're saying, and I know you're lying to me, but close enough. Come on. That's how we function when we have to trust someone, right? Now, our culture has put people into groups or teams that make trust easier. So, for example, I kind of trust the person at Costco selling cell phones a little bit more than I trust, I don't know, some guy with a folding table out on the street selling cell phones. Just some institutional trust there. You're hurt, you're in the hospital, the doctor walks into, you're in a lot of pain, the doctor walks into the room and says, hello, I'm the doctor who's going to be taking care of you. Instant trust, no questions asked, get to it. You don't ask to see their resume, where'd you go to school, just fix my whatever, I gotta go, right? So we trust people, we come at trust a different way. But socially speaking, just in social terms, how do you gain trust with people? Do you opt in or do you opt out of trust? It's important because we need to know this. Because it's like what I call doing Sherlock Holmes on yourself. It's investigating yourself. It's looking at your beliefs. What are your beliefs? Most of your most important beliefs you don't know you believe. I call them core beliefs until you start to look into them a little bit more. I'm not saying that people that are opt-out people are all this happy-go-lucky, trusting people. I'm not saying that opt-in people are all skeptics and cynics. That's not what I'm saying. You just have a default about how you come at your relationships with new people. We need to know how we lean when there's no pressure on us. Why do we need to know? We need to know because it gives us fundamental insights into ourselves. It lets us know, have you ever looked at you doing something and said, what did I do that for? That's a weird question to a person who believes we're rational humans, right? What did I do that for? Wait a minute. Who are you talking to? And this is the same thing. How do you come at this trust? Do we opt in or do we opt out? It is such a human thing, trust. It is such a human thing to grant or to ungrant or to regrant or to refuse granting trust to people. It is important to individuals, it is important to relationships, and it is important to communities how we work together, right? I'm not saying you should be one way, you should be this way, you should be that way. I'm saying you are one way. Figure it out which one you are so that when events happen, you can feel yourself making these important decisions. Knowledge is that knowledge of those core beliefs, those beliefs that you hold but probably don't even know you hold. That is a superpower that will enable us to serve each other and to serve the world. Without that superpower, it is very difficult for us to know each other, to make lasting relationships, and to serve the world. And to live out Emerson's mission. Emerson's mission is to provide a place where we grow in mind and spirit and we build a better world. That is what we are here to do, and we are capable of doing it. Trust me. And now I invite you to sing with us our second hymn. Our second hymn is Love Will Guide Us. You may relax. I'd like to just point out, as I walked in this morning, MC Swearingen came up to me and said, "Did you know that we have to vote this week in Texas? Did you know that?" Yeah, neither did I. And as someone who just moved here a year ago, I would like to say, y'all have like a lot of elections. Like, it seems like there's always an election for something. Like, can't you just bunch them up and do them on one day like the rest of the world? But okay, whatever. So MC, there's an election this week, correct? Yes, please vote. One of our principles is the democratic process, and I would engage all of you to vote your heart and to vote your soul this week. I also would engage all of you. The family of Henry Grappi, who had a wonderful funeral here yesterday, was kind enough to leave us these wonderful flowers. And they said, "Reverend Ed, can you find someone to take them home?" And I said, "I think I can." So what I would like to ask you to do is, if you feel comfortable taking one of these beautiful the vase and everything, not just the flowers, if you feel comfortable taking one of them home, please do. You don't have to ask me. You just take the one that you think is for you, and bring them home with you today, and let them live out the rest of their days in beauty and splendor in your home. And the Henry Grappi family would be pleased and happy for you to do that for them. So vote and take flowers. We would love you to do that. Each time, friends, we come together, we move with the words we hear, we move with the music we hear, we move with the light of the chalice, which, like us, flickers and flutters from side to side, moving constantly, yet tethered to its source. We extinguish this chalice now, not as a symbolic ritual, but as a practical ritual, knowing that the light it carries, oh, for Pete's sake, knowing that the light it carries, I'm using the wrong one, knowing that the light it carries is carried in our hearts, and we also extinguish our candle of joy and remembrance in memory of Mr. Max. And we hope that his spirit and his trek to being an ancestor is smooth, successful, and in loving memory of Max. We extinguish this candle now, and we invite you now to sing us out.
Now in
you.